Hey there, Resolve Church. I just want to take a couple of minutes and kind of share with you something that we as an elder team have been discussing and praying about recently. You know, we've been watching closely the developments of the current pandemic and are anticipating when we will be able to start meeting again in the near future. But we've also been watching very closely to see how the effects of our government's response to the crisis has caused many throughout our country to become unemployed or to experience massive loss of income. To date, there have been over 22 million people who have applied for unemployment. Of course, this doesn't even count those who have lost income and can't file for unemployment, or those who lost work just prior to the crisis. Needless to say that this is history-making numbers, and that this crisis has been widespread, it's been intense, and most likely it will be generational. The effects of this will not be gone, we believe, in just a few months, but we're anticipating feeling the effects of this possibly for years to come. You know, we as an elder team have been praying for our nation and for our state, that God would heal our land and enable us to come out stronger and more resilient as a people, as a nation through this experience. But this is also our prayer for us as a church. And we want to be able to come out of this time stronger and more resilient, stronger in our trust and faith, our dependence on the Lord, stronger in our view of the necessity of community and of communion with Jesus, stronger in our faith that God can take and does take ordinary, everyday people to bless as many with the gospel in both big and small ways, and that we become more resilient in our faith and how we see God preserving us as a church through the many ups and downs, the challenges, both past and future, that God is with us and He's for us. One of the ways that we believe that the church could be the church in this time of crisis is to make provision for those who are in need, who are part of our church. The Apostle Luke, when describing the early church after the day of Pentecost, he has this beautiful description. He says that all who believed were together and had all things in common, and they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. This verse is such a beautiful description of the church taking care of one another in the midst of hardship and trials. The church did not ask for the Roman government to oppress them and to persecute them. The church didn't go out looking for trouble. Trouble always found them. And when trouble ultimately did come, the church looked for ways to still take care of one another. I believe that we are living in a very unique opportunity and time when we have an opportunity to creatively find ways to live this out. I believe that we are meant to be a church that is blessed in order to be a blessing. This is the call of Abraham in Genesis chapter 12. God calls Abraham to himself and makes him a special family and blesses him so that through Abraham's family would come the blessing of the nations, Jesus Christ. And one way that many of us have been blessed is that many of us have received the stimulus money from the federal government as a way to help ease the burdens of those who are facing dire financial straits. This is a common grace of God for us to be able to live in a nation where we have the financial capacity to be able to do this on such a national scale. But more than just the common grace of God, nationally, we as Christians get the opportunity to be a blessing, that we are blessed so that we could be a blessing to many. Now, some of us will need the stimulus money to pay for things like rent or groceries or bills, and that's good. That's what it was meant and designed for. And if that's you, praise God for His wonderful provision through the ministry of the government. Now, some of us have not yet felt the economic impact or pinch of this crisis. Whether that's because we've been blessed to be employed by companies or employers who are committed to paying us, even if we're not able to work. Maybe some of us have work that we can do virtually and we're continuing to be able to work. But the reality is that some of us have yet to feel the financial disruption during the crisis, and now we find ourselves with this extra money. Now, because of this extra blessing in our lives, I want to call us as a church to prayerfully consider giving an extra financial gift to the church under a new fund that we are creating called the COVID Relief Fund. This is a special designation that we've made on the giving page of our website, which will set aside money for us to be able to help those in our church who have acute needs. The reality is that the impact of this crisis will be felt for months or years, even after the reopening of the country. I know that many of us have received or will receive this extra money, and I believe that we have the capacity because of this as a church to be well positioned to help those in need who are part of our church. And I believe that God is blessing us now so that we can be a blessing. As an elder team, we're also pursuing other avenues for further financial resources from the government for the church in this time of crisis, which, if that actually works out, will only further our capacity for financial resiliency and provision for our people. Now, I know that this is a big ask in a time of uncertainty and fear, but I believe that how we as a church rise up to meet these challenges, trusting God, believing Him for good and big things for us, will be a witness to our community and to the city to the truth and power of God through His Son, Jesus Christ. That no matter what happens in this life, God is bigger and better than it and has good plans for us, and we can trust Him. I believe that God means to use His people as an agent of healing, hope, and peace in a time of uncertainty, fear, and doubt. So Resolve Church, would you please prayerfully join in prayerfully considering how you might contribute to the COVID Relief Fund this month?